So I am doing my um, analysis on Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. This was such a groundbreaking film, um, not only for the Marvel fans, but culturally. It brought a lot of attention to the Black culture and the African culture. Specifically, and kind of like they played with the disconnect that African Americans have with African people. Um, so this film was just so great in that, and then the way that Hannah Beechler and Ryan Coogler incorporated like their visits and the colors, the landscape, the architecture from different countries in Africa, um, and blended it so well together. It was just an amazing thing to see. The first thing I wanted to talk about is sorry about that, Afrofuturism, and how they use that in the film. In the film, they use the Brit like Afrofuturism is combining um, science fiction and African political theory. So, like things in this picture, like the shapes and the futuristic of it, and the chains, and how they were able to use what was first negative and turn it into something positive. Um, and this was another good picture of Afrofuturism. It's just like you can see in the eyes. It's just uh, the way that African people and African Americans, African and their descendants, which African Americans are seeing their future without how we would have been without colonialism. Um, and in this picture, like the big things are triangles over there that represent the mother, the father, and the child. It's a sacred symbol in Africa. And another thing in this picture that they're focusing on is the pineal gland. Um, and that was led to be have like psychedelic powers. Like if you open it up, you're able to see things for what they really are. And if you notice in the film, like that was a big theme, was seeing things for what they really were. Like when Michael B. Jordan or Killmonger um, went into the museum and he took the items, he saw that it was had vibranium in it. It wasn't what everybody else saw. So like that's another thing that uh, this film was very good at hinting at, was the advancement of the the African people. Hannah Beechler, um, who was the art director on the film, uh, she made a Wakanda Bible, um, which consisted of 515 pages. And she went into depth about the history of buildings, the waterfalls, the technology, the throne room, the high tech lab. She went into how vibranium was mined. So she did a very in depth art plan for the film, and she drew on her experience. Her and Ryan Coogler spent a few months out in um, Africa, and specifically they hung out with the Lesotho people. And you can see inspirations of them throughout the film. I'll be speaking more on them a little later, but they were that's where that was the people that uh, they interacted with the most during their time in Africa. Um, Here is one picture from her Twitter account. Um, this just shows like how in depth that she went. Um, she drew out the country. Um, she even had the warrior suits and all of that made within this Bible. So it was a very, very in depth uh, process. Um, she's only shared two pictures of the Bible, which I don't blame her. It's a big thing, so I'm not quite sure of how she would even upload all of that. But it would be something that I would love to see in the future, is her to put that out there. But yeah, these she went into each tribe, the how the waterfalls would be, the building types, how all of this played out. So Hannah Beekler was such a vital um, person in the making of the film, and it's something that before I never even. She's so good at her job, you don't even recognize it, and those are the greats to where it's like their their work speaks for itself. And as you can see, like I said, she's phenomenal. Another part that she spoke about was the room with the logs. Um, that was all within the Bible. So um, she's just her creative spark is just inspirational. The architecture and the buildings um, were inspiration from an artist named Zaha Hadid, who is a British Iraqi architect. She had abstract shaped buildings for the future. I'm going to show you a few examples of her architecture. You can see through this how it inspired the world of Wakanda. She's such a phenomenal architect. Um, it's very futuristic and it's very uh, balanced but unbalanced, and um, I really like that about the pieces that she did. But like in this piece, you can see it's kind of like a spaceship. You can see like all throughout. That's her right here, Zaha Hadid. But you can see like how futuristic her pieces are. Very inspirational. Uh, but yes, that was a few. Um, that's where they drew a few ideas for like the spaceship that they ride in on, and some of the buildings that you see, um, like the landing strip that they were fighting on. Like all of that was inspired by Zaha Hadid. So that was very good that they drew from her. There is a specific scene that I wanted to go in depth on and talk about, like the designs and the inspiration for each tribe, and how certain pieces were made and how things were done. And that scene in particular is the river scene. Not the river scene, I apologize. The waterfall scene where all the tribes gather together to challenge King T'Challa once a year, and we are able to like get in on this process. Um, During this, there's a shaman that you'll see that directs the ceremony, and uh, he is used to bring order and peace to the ceremony during this process. So just want you to pay particular attention to him.
Fury, son of Vadu, give to you Prince T'Challa, the Black Panther. The prince will now have the strength of the Black Panther stripped away. Namaku, three, in ritual combat comes by.
I chose this scene in particular because I wanted to speak on each tribe individual and where the inspiration was drawn from because it was such a authentic and great process that I think they went through. I really enjoyed looking up these people and the history behind it. Um, the first people that I would like to speak on are the Border tribe, and um, that is they're in charge. They were in charge of the border, hence the name. And they were in these robes to disguise themselves as farmers and blacksmiths and just people that you would normally overlook just based off of their appearance. But they are actually powerful warriors. These people were based off of the people that they went I spoke of earlier, the Lesotho people um that Ryan Coogler went to go visit in Africa. Um and this is the traditional wear that they garb that they used to wear. I mean that they still wear there now. So you can see the resemblance. They also drew from the Malayan Dago people, whom were blacksmiths. So they drew from these real life inspirations all throughout. And I'm pretty sure that was very powerful and motivating for people of these tribes. So I was very appreciative of Ryan Coogler and Hannah Beekler for shining a light on these true people, real heroes. So that was another thing that they did such a great job at. Um, the next set of people I would like to speak on are the River Tribe, whose colors are green, and they were responsible for the river croc. Um, they drew inspiration from them on. They drew the tribes from the river tribe that they drew from were the Sori and the Mercy tribes of Ethiopia, um, which in particular is very interesting because the actress Lupita is Ethiopian, so she was able to bring in like her view of these people also. So um that was just such a great experience for them to incorporate um her people in here as well. I'm going to show a few pictures of you can see the correlation of all the pieces that they wear and the mutilation of the tongue and the ears. The mutilation process, they start at 12 to 15 years old, and um each year the gauge gets bigger and bigger um until it gets to what you see. And um also another thing is the scarring. um, as well. Throughout the film, um, you can see that the suits and things like that have scarring on them, and certain garb has these like bumpy patterns on it to represent the scarring that represented power in these tribes, and it showed like which tribe you also represented. So just so much things that they were drawing from, and you can see that they paid so much respect to these people. The next tribe I would like to speak on is the Jabari tribe, who is kind of like the black sheep. Um, they were also called as the mountain tribe, and they wore these skirts called raffia skirts or raffia skirts, and that was from the Dogon people of Mali. Um, so, like I said, like they draw so much. They pull from so many tribes and so many different places in Africa that it's just inspirational. Um, the some things that I found out about the tribe, that they spoke in a Yoruba dialect and worship um a different god than the rest of the Wakanda. They worship the god, so they worship a different god. The rest of Wakanda worships the panther, god named by the name of Bast. Um, but the Jabari tribe speak in a different dialect and worship the Hanuman tribe. They want to be as far disconnected from the Wakanda people as much because they felt like they were weak, and that they were the strongest people. Hence why they're always separated. They wanted to show they didn't need anyone. Um, this gorilla god is why they always pound in their chest and do that "Ooh, ooh," when they come in to have the interaction with the Black Panther. Um, they use a lot of white and gray, um, to represent the silverback. They are inspired by the Cairo people of Ethiopia and the Dogon people of Mali. So these were inspired from two different tribes. Ryan Coogler and Hannah Beekler did a great job of, like I said, incorporating so many different um, cultures and um, different feelings into this film. The next tribe I would like to speak about is the Merchant tribe. Um, this was a very unique tribe. They are used for art and clothing of the country. Um, and their colors are dark blue and purple. Um, they were particularly very interesting to me because they are for the Juarez people of the Saharan regions, which is why you see him in the headgear. And a big thing back then were heavy jewelry. So Ruth Carter spoke about how she uh, chose these different jewelry pieces, and she said that she's tried to stay true to each tribe. So this them being from the Saharan desert, they would have all of that to cover their faces and stuff during snowstorms and things like that. Um, and you can see the direct um, correlation between the two um, pictures, like how they even how it's wrapped. She said that they were very particular on how things were wrapped and how they were represented on screen. So this is just such a great thing to see. The last group of people are probably everyone's favorite, which is the Dora Milaje. Um, they were such the way that Hannah Beechler and the team, Ruth Carter, all these people framed these African women were just amazing. They were true to the stories of the Dahomey Amazons, um, that who were a warrior tribe of women that ruled the until the 19th century. That's when French troops came and took over. Um, but they had so much respect for these women that they named them the Dahomey Amazons. So that just goes to show you how powerful these women were, and um, it was such a great thing to see was women in such a powerful light. Like they were the protectors of the men. Kind of like what you see in nature sometimes, like with lions, to where it's like the women are more active. Um, it's just great to see the correlation that they had. They in the movie the Dormilaje are the king's guard, and they're sworn to his to protect him, uh and that's whomever the Black Panther may be. So they're loyal to royalty. And as you can see, they're fierce warriors that protect at any means. um they were inspired by the Maasai people also. um their boots and things like that were inspired by the Japanese. It's called the Jaika Tabai boots, and yeah, these women were just so fierce. And to see how he was able to incorporate all these different tribes and bring them together, like in that fight scene, you can see individually like each tribe is represented by um another thing that I wanted to note was like in their suits, um what they have on their suits are vibranium, so it's used as a shield as well. That's why you don't see them with the big shields, because they have vibranium on their suit. And it was something that I didn't even know until was looking up interviews and things like that. So just the the detail that they put into this film and into the clothing, the backstories was just phenomenal. I really enjoyed this film to the point where it inspired me in my journey to become a filmmaker. As and that was you don't really, I think what gets looked over is each generation has their own, like, let's say um filmmaker that specific group looks up to. And back in the 90s it was Spike Lee, and now a person that many people of color look up to is Ryan Coogler. And this billion-dollar movie set records, rightfully so. Hannah Beechler won best art production. So it just goes to show that, and it was the first time that a black woman has won it. And it just goes to show that the work that they put in was so extraordinary that um, even a show that's been has history of racism was not able to turn a blind eye to this film, and the attention to detail, the landscaping. Like I said, you can even look in the background of this film, of this scene that I have pulled up. It's the landscaping is such in detail of being in Africa. You felt like you were a part of it, which you were because they did shoot in Africa at some point. But they drew from many things. Another interesting thing that they drew from during was the story of coltan, which is a type of mineral that grows in Africa that's what they use as the inspiration for vibranium. Um, so when Hannah Beekler and these guys, they took so much inspiration from real life and incorporated it into a different medium so that it will be easier for people to digest. But there's so much history in this film, and um the production, the art production, the clothing, the like I said, the head wraps, the vibranium, all this stuff takes time. Um, I also uh, forgot to mention that for those pieces that for the mouth, I was so intrigued by. I had to find out whether or not he had, that piece in his mouth, and I found out that no, it was they didn't really go into detail, but he still is able to talk and stuff, but it's not on his actual lip. Um, so like it's just the amount of work that each person has to go through each day. That they said it took hours per day for him to manipulate his face like that. So it's just phenomenal to see the a film, especially a film with people with color and specifically women of color, um, got so much recognition. And Hannah Beekler is just phenomenal, and I'm so inspired to keep watching and seeing what else she has to offer and what else she draws from because it's very inspirational. But thank you.